My name is Roberto Pérez, or Chef Roberto, whatever you prefer. About 13 years ago, I was diagnosed with cirrhosis of the liver. If you know anybody who has ever had cirrhosis of the liver, you know that it's painful and you're really miserable. You're jaundiced, sometimes you're bloated in your stomach, you lose a lot of weight. Your body is filled with toxins. And so it wasn't, my doctor thought that it was because I was drinking, but it took some time to find out that through MRIs and studies at UIC, that it was actually through a workout supplement that I was taking at the gym. So it was scary because by that time Walter Payton had already passed away, and I was like, man, I'm just like this, poor kid from Chicago. I'm done. And so it was really scary, but I stopped taking the supplement, and it really changed my life because what happened was that I then would always pick up everything now because of the trauma I went through. And I would read exactly what it was that I was eating. So it really changed my life.
Is that supplement still available?
It is. It's still available.
It's just unique to you and your system?
No, I believe I'm not the only one that happened to, but it's still available. So it changed my life. About 2 or 3 years after that, I decided that I just started cooking. It was just this flame, this fire that kind of took over my life that I just didn't stop. And so the years had passed and I had already done 200 and such dishes, different dishes from not only the Caribbean, but Mediterranean dishes and West African dishes and Asian dishes. And I had just built like this repertoire of all of the things that I could cook just because of this trauma that I went through. And so in about 2015, 2016, I started doing Caribbean cooking classes. And I thought that it would be really important to teach people how to make their own spices and their own spice mix. And I said, you know what? If the big corporations aren't going to do that and they're not going to take care of us, then me and my little group, oh, well, you want to be in my class? I'll teach you how to do it. So it got really, really popular. And now the mix is at the stores, so and then what is it? It's very natural. I decided that that's how I wanted to cook. So I don't cook with any artificial colorings. I don't cook with any artificial flavorings. The verdict's out about MSG. I just don't use it. It's not my thing. And so I just decided that that's how I was going to do things, and I was going to teach people that way. But I thought that it was also really important to have things be culturally relevant, right? So I didn't want to strip away the flavor of the food. But a lot of this food didn't come to be until maybe the 1960s and the 1970s, where there's all these preservatives that were starting to be put on in our food to keep them on the shelf so that folks can make a lot of money. Any questions about that? What do you guys think? Any opinions about that?
I got a fun fact.
Yeah.
Part of the reason why all the different preservatives were put in the food was actually because after World War II, they had such a food shortage that the government wanted people that were creating food to make it so that we never ran out of food again.
Okay. All right.
Actually, one of the reasons why they did it was they started to find ways to make it last so that we wouldn't run out.
Okay.
Except.
Thank you.
I know, right?
So the Twinkie can last for a long time, and you could have it for a long time.
They're still
Yeah, I do have a cousin that worked for Hostess, and he told me that he used to go and he would restock all the time, but then they started putting so many things in the food to make it last for so long that now they never have to do that ever again. So it could stay on the shelves forever. And I don't know how good that is, but probably not so good for our health.
I actually saw a nutritionist on TV that said the actual packaging is better than the ingredients in most.
Wow. And one of the rules of thumb that I have is that if you can't pronounce or you have a hard time pronouncing what's in the back of the label or on the label, then you don't need to buy it. Stay simple. Keep it clean.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Keep it clean. At least that's what I think about it. And so the dish that we're going to make today is espaguetis. Yes, it's pronounced that, espaguetis. And you can see that last year in Chicago Magazine, they wanted to highlight different pasta dishes around the city. And so there I am. They did highlight me, and they did highlight the dish that we're gonna make today, the dish that we're gonna eat today, I'm hoping. I'm going to drop some pasta in some boiling water in the back, and then we're gonna go through this process. I think it's gonna be pretty fast, okay? I did ask, are there any food allergies besides,
It's okay, just say meat.
no, there's what, blue cheese?
Yeah, the mold in the blue cheese.
Uh-huh. Thyme.
Is soy.
Soy. We have none of that today, so we should be all right. We're okay?
We are great.
Okay.
I'm just keeping an eye on the doorstep.
Okay, beautiful. So I'm gonna heat things up a little bit. I love using these cast iron pans. Do you guys use them at home? Yes, I think they're so versatile, right? You can make a cake, you can make a pizza, you could do anything that you want, chocolate chip cookies. You could make anything out of it. You could take them camping, put them over a fire.
You can use them on your outdoor
That's
grill.
where I make
Outdoor grills, yes. No, come on. But okay, so I did already season some chicken. I just took it out of the fridge, and I did season it with some achote. Achote is a natto seed, which is ground up. And this is kind of what it looks like. Now, remember I did mention that I don't want to use any artificial coloring. So this is a seed that grows in the Caribbean. And when you grind it up, this is kind of what it looks like, right? So it's the annatto seed. Can you guys think of any other things or any other spices that redden your food? Paprika, and it's really popular. It's popular. Do you like smoked paprika? I like especially for like vegan dishes, right? If you want to elevate something, if you're cooking vegan or without any meat, you can use paprika. I love that. What else?
Turmeric doesn't make it red, but it makes it yellow.
What's that? Turmeric. Turmeric, yeah, gives some good color to your food. And so you see that trend around the world. You see that people always want to add color to the food. So how do we do that without like doing it, artificially, right? So I think saffron is another one. Saffron's probably the most expensive spice in the world.
I've never used it.
Saffron. So if you ever made like paella, usually they will put saffron in paella. What else? Anything else? Palm oil is another one that's used often in West African dishes. Saffron's another one. Turmeric, paprika, also cayenne.
Yeah, that's what I.
Cayenne, right? But cayenne is gonna give it that kick. Right? So cayenne is another one. What's that?
And you smile kick.
Yeah, sure.
I like that.
How about the green ones like mint and parsley? And are they considered spices or are they considered?
Those are herbs. Yeah, those are
they're
herbs.
kind of used as spice, right?
So it would be more of an aromatic. So yeah, Not necessarily, but I love to use them, and we're going to use them today also. So in this oil here, and this is actually oil, just olive oil with the annatto seed. So it's kind of just to redden the food. My mom used to do this a lot as a kid, and so that way she would redden the food. Also, like in rice, she would redden the rice with some oil with that annatto seed. So historically, for the natives of the Caribbean, what they would call it was the lipstick tree, because often they would use it to paint their faces or for makeup. And so it was called the lipstick tree. So it's been around anciently, and it's also been around, it's also still used in Brazil. So for the same reasons, you know, for as makeup without any artificial anything. You were asking?
Would it burn?
Would it burn? No, no burning. No burning, it wouldn't burn.
So it's almost like a Brazil nut then, right?
It's no. It's not a Brazil nut. All right. So we're getting this going. While this is going, I'm going to drop that pasta. So we're going to want our pasta a little bit al dente, right? What does al dente mean? Little bitey, right? Little bitey. So how long do you usually leave your pasta when it's al dente? How long about?
I don't do it al dente. I like it cooked.
Yeah. So we're going to leave it al dente because it's going to then cook with all of our other ingredients. So we don't want it to be too mushy. So if you smell something back there, just give me, let me know. Remind me that I have some pasta back there going, okay?
How long do you let it go?
So it depends on the pasta. Like also sometimes I have some good friends also with celiac. Anybody know celiac? So with allergies to wheat. So sometimes that pasta is a little bit longer, maybe 10, 11 minutes. So at a boil it'll be usually about 7 minutes for my pasta usually. On the boil though.
Smells good.
All right. So we haven't started yet. Look at that. All right. I love that sound. Oh, and another reddener would be tomato sauce, right? That would be another reddener. I'm trying to gauge about how many people. I'll put this one away.
We're big eaters.
You're big eaters?
Saved our appetite. Double it.
We could do another round. It won't be that long. All right. So we got our chicken going. And one of the stars of today would be our base, would be what we call our Mirepoix. Anybody know what a Mirepoix is? Yeah. Oh, I love it. So a Mirepoix, for example, in Creole cooking, for example. So if you have, it would be the base of Creole cooking. So which would be what? Peppers, green peppers, onions, and celery. And so that would be the base. Like the Trinity, right? So the Mirepoix would also have carrots, right? And then if you were doing a Spanish style, then you would use tomatoes, And if you were using a more British style, then usually you would have thyme in it. And so today we're going to do more of a Spanish Caribbean style. So we're going to make our own sofrito. So I'll show you. So back in the day, so my mom, the mom who raised me, was born in 1920. And she would tell me that when she was on her way home, they were pretty poor, so she didn't have a watch. But she knew what time it was by the sun often, but also because she would hear the mortar and pestle and people making sofrito. So that meant that it was dinner time. So, because people would cook fresh back in the day, you know. So, what do you think would be in a sofrito? Any guess?
Yeah, I'd definitely say some kind of tomato base.
You think tomatoes?
Yeah.
Okay, back in the 19th century, I'm talking, 1890s, is documented that yes, tomatoes were in the first sofritos of Puerto Rico. But they've kind of been taken out. Tomato sauce, yes, definitely later is used in the cooking process, but they've been kind of taken out, maybe because the acid might affect the sofrito. Any ideas? Anything? What would be in the base? Onions? You said peppers? Peppers, right? You can do, and so I want to show you the Caribbean cooking peppers. So we're not going to cook with these. So these are
Cute.
They're cute. All right, they're cute. So they would, in the native language of the Caribbean, it would be called an ají. So A-J-I, ají. And the ají, these particular ajís are ají dulces. Anybody know what ají dulce would mean? It would mean sweet pepper. So it's a cooking pepper, right? So we definitely, in our cooking pepper, we definitely take out the seeds. We take out the seeds just in case we have some people that maybe, sometimes the seeds will make your stomach a little bit upset. You know, maybe give you gas, they say. So I always take the seeds out of mine. This is the most tedious part of making sofrito, is taking out the seeds. What else? Peppers?
Can you do it with a yellow pepper if you can't use green pepper?
Yes.
How about
You can do it with red peppers. And I love using colorful food and colorful peppers because also it has more nutrients. So the more colorful your food is, the better usually. Right? So we know like iceberg lettuce, it doesn't have the nutrients that something like a red kale would have, you know?
What about jalapeno?
Jalapeno peppers, so what about jalapeno peppers?
Do you use those?
You could, but they're hot, so it wouldn't be usually part of the base. So cilantro would also be part of that sofrito base. And then the culantro, which I passed around earlier, would be another part of the base.
Like you said, onions.
We did say onions.
Spicy too.
You feel like onions are spicy? Okay, some folks would say onions are sweet. They're pungent, but how about when you cook them down? Are they still?
Yeah, you're right. What about garlic?
Do you like garlic? Okay.
Tastes like butter when it's
Well, garlic would definitely be part of the sofrito, right? So now we've kind of completed the sofrito. We've kind of completed the sofrito. I want maybe somebody can help me with this. I've kind of cleaned out. This is a mortar and pestle. Would you like to help me?
Sure.
Okay.
I was hoping you picked me.
Okay. Is it pasta time already? Okay. Thank you for that. So usually what's the first thing that goes in a mortar and pestle before you use it? Oil's a good guess. Salt. Why salt?
white salt.
Because it creates the friction so that whatever you put in there isn't bouncing all over the place and hit you in the head, right? So we're gonna just cover the bottom with salt. And then we have some garlic cloves here.
Now, I heard on America's Test Kitchen this week, I was using crushed garlic in a jar. It's garbage. It has no of the intended garlic flavor that you have. So I went out today, fresh garlic in a garlic press because they said
Yeah,
it's the
so
only way.
we're going to make it fresh. So today, fresh. All right.
And these are just cloves.
These are just garlic cloves that I crushed before our class started. I opened up the bulb. So, okay. So usually this is what I do. And because an artisan actually made this, so I usually put a towel on the table because I don't want it to split, break. And also I want to be kind to my neighbors so that they're not hearing all this noise. but it's really easy that way. Yes.
Do you ever use a different,
Stone.
The stone ones?
Stone.
Yes, absolutely. So in Mexico, they make them out of the lava rocks. They're called molcajetes. And so usually you'll make guacamole there and different salsas. So you go ahead,
So, okay.
crush that up for me. We're gonna use that in our food today. So I like using chicken thighs. This is chicken thighs. Because chicken thigh has a little bit more fat, it's juicier, it's more flavorful in my opinion. What do you guys think?
It doesn't dry out.
It's more
It doesn't dry out, right? You got it. I like that. You guys cook. I like that. You guys know a little something about food. I like that.
He's from that show.
All right. So we're then now going to put our, now that our chicken has browned, we're now going to put in our onions, okay? And so we want our onions also to, even though we're going to put sofrito in there, so we're doubling up on onions and we're doubling up on garlic. Because they're just really flavor enhancers, I feel. What do you guys think? Yeah? Okay. Was that?
They have a ton of medicinal purpose.
Yes, yes. How's that garlic going?
It's getting smushy.
It's getting smushy? All right, cool. Smushy's good. Smushy's good. I like that. All right, so now we're gonna add our garlic. So we're kind of, oh, that looks great. That looks great. This is beautiful. Look at that. Look at that. All right, that looks beautiful. Can you? All right.
If you don't have a mortar and pestle, what do you do to really kind of work up your garlic?
You could use a garlic press.
If you don't have a garlic,
Back in I've seen some of the old Italian men. They'll put it on a table and but yes, yeah, absolutely. The side of a knife, and then you mince it. There's a ton of ways. You could also put it in a small food processor. You can do all those things. That'll all work. I want to get all of this garlic, so that's why I'm using my gloves, my hands. And so in the beginning of my cooking process, usually one of the things that I love to do also is I love to use my dry ingredients. Why? Because a lot of these dry ingredients are dormant in jars, and so we really want to bring out some of those flavors. So, do you guys use oregano in your food? Yes. Yeah, you guys like it? Yeah, and there's and so there's so many different types of oregano also. We're just going to use a typical dry oregano. And so how do you bring out the flavors of oregano at home? Does anybody?
Sometimes I toast it in the pan before I actually use it.
Yeah, some folks will toast it a little bit. What I do is I like to you could put it back in the mortar and pestle and just awaken those flavors. Or often what I do is I'll squeeze it and kind of take those oils out, and you can smell it pretty soon. Just really bringing out those flavors of. So far, just to recap, we have our chicken, which has been seasoned. What has it been seasoned with? I used my adobo, but I also use this achote. I haven't added any salt, but in the adobo is salt, pepper, garlic powder, turmeric, cumin. You guys like cumin? Yeah. Cumin, and then some achote. So cumin, just a fun fact, cumin is one of the most ancient ingredients in the world. cumin actually used to be used, and a lot of food was used as preservation. And so it used to be used by the Egyptian pharaohs to mummify. Yeah, so it's part of that history, to mummify some of their royalty, some of the mummies. Okay, how's it smell? Can you guys smell it? Okay, great. I love it. Okay, so how do you guys feel? And you guys are gonna guide me here. What do you guys think about this color? You like it? You think it's red enough? So no more achota needed? Nah, right? We've already put that in.
Oh, yeah.
Can you guys smell it?
Yeah.
Okay. And now it's time for us to add our sofrito, which we've made and we've kind of gone over also. So the sofrito, remember, if you remember it, it's the base, right? So it has the peppers, the sweet peppers. It has both of these herbs, onions, garlic. And so we're gonna be real generous here. And so we're gonna get those flavors. Yeah, so the culantro is something that I feel that is very much, when it comes to Puerto Rican food, if you don't have culantro, you kind of don't have Puerto Rican food, you know? I don't know if you can kind of relate to a certain ingredient that's really important in your culture. So for Caribbean, especially Spanish Caribbean, and even in the other islands like in Trinidad, this is a really important ingredient. Again, I repeat, in Vietnam also, in like the pho's, the soups, this is also very, very much an important ingredient. So it's like the big bad cousin of cilantro. And I call it the big bad cousin because it's about 8 times more pungent than this one. Okay?
And cilantro is like pretty pungent to begin.
You think so? So this is more pungent, you know? So
Taste-wise, like some people will say cilantro tastes like stuff.
yeah, there's that population that feel that way.
So, well, no,
They
they
have
have
a cheese.
an enzyme in there.
Right.
That way. But how would you say that the culantro tastes?
Do you want to taste it?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Yeah, it's pungent. It's pungent.
It smelled good.
Okay, it's pungent.
So when you make sofrito, you put it in a pillow?
So in my classes, because that's part of my brand, you know, I do it that way. But at home, I use a food processor. just being honest, you know. It's and sofrito in my home doesn't really last long. I cook all the time, so I'm always cooking it fresh. Can you guys smell this? What do you guys think? Yeah? Okay.
It actually tastes less.
You think it's less pungent?
It tastes like a mixture of like a lettuce and cilantro.
Okay. All right. So you,
Have an after, like an after kick?
I don't think so.
No, it has a lettuce aftertaste.
I don't think so. Here, I'll give you the opportunity. If you feel comfortable, you can taste
We're
it.
passing this one around.
Okay. So I did mention another reddener. I'm going to use some Spanish style tomato salsa de tomate or tomato sauce. Okay. I'm going to use some of this.
So what's the base of that?
The base is tomatoes. It usually has oregano. It usually has salt and pepper.
How about what kind of tomato is it? Roma? Is it
I like using Romas. I like Romas. So we'll use some of this. And then I also have some crushed tomatoes. We're kind of building our own flavors. We're just gonna go real natural. There's nothing in this, just crushed tomatoes. And I think a very important part of the process is tasting your food. At home, we often forget that part and we serve our loved ones and he's like, you know, it's missing something.
That's a nice way of saying it.
It's missing something. So that's one of the things that we'll do today is I want to just make sure that it's okay. Now I haven't really added salt. So for me, whenever I'm cooking with tomato sauce, I want like this dark color. Like I want it to kind of get really nice and dark, kind of like a red brick, right? That's how I feel like I could describe it. And so I want that. So pretty soon we'll be able to add our pasta, but before we have to taste it before we do that.
So when did the mushrooms go?
The mushrooms in my cooking process usually goes at the end or towards the end just because, you know, they break up. Yeah. But, you know, a few years ago, we discovered that there's more flavors. And so umami became one of the flavors, kind of like spice and sweet and salty. So umami, so things like tomatoes, soy, mushrooms have a lot of umami, so it has a lot of flavor. Some would describe it kind of like that flavor of meat. So, okay. Any questions, concerns? No?
It just smells good.
It smells okay? All right, good. Well, all right. It's getting that nice brick color.
I didn't hear it. Are you using mushroom caps or?
Yeah, so I just sliced it up
Okay.
like this. I like the darker mushrooms. And these are just button mushrooms.
How do you feel about baby bellas?
I like baby bellas. I like mushrooms in general. I'll use them all. What do you guys think of? We have a mushroom hater over there. That's okay. Jody, what do you think of mushrooms?
I wish that everyone in my house liked them so I could cook with them more often.
Uh-huh.
But I do love like a portobello mushroom sandwich.
Ah.
Things like that.
My daughter-in-law is vegan, and they say the portobellos are their steak.
Yeah, correct. So my son is also vegan, and that's helped me also in my like journey of learning,
Yes.
like how to cook and for the Spanish Caribbean, like places like Cuba and Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic, the one thing that really is seen over and over in the food because of the Spanish crown is actually pork. So pork is something that was just always there. It's just like, I remember going to Cuba a few years ago and it was hard to get away from pork. And so I don't know if you know, but historically, Spain was conquered by the North African Moors, who were Arab. And so Arabs do not eat pork. So that is a reason as to why the Spanish crown would always have pork in their food. It was kind of just like their staple. It was kind of, their mark to say, hey, yeah, this is ours, And so that's when they went then to the Spanish Caribbean. You see, but I have learned to make food without pork, without meat, and yes, it can be done. You can still make delicious food without meat. And also there's really a lot of great substitutes these days. And we have access to a lot of things that when I was a kid, we didn't have access to. At least I think so. What do you guys think about that?
I think you were probably a kid last week.
You're like, yeah, give me the meats. Give me the meats. No, I'm 48 years old. No. I'm 48 years old, yeah. All right, so we are going to add the mushrooms. So they're big enough so we could fish them out in case, they're big enough we could fish them out. And we'll let that go just a little bit. And again, we'll taste this pretty soon. You don't smell much?
No, I smell that, but not the noodles.
Ah, okay. Well, the noodles, yeah, the noodles. And I left some of the water in the noodles because also we could use that, some of the pasta water.
Did you put the noodles in?
No, not yet.
We're done with the noodles. No, we haven't.
Yeah, remember he told me to smell them. I'm not gonna smell them.
We haven't yet. We haven't yet. Here they go.
I thought I missed something.
No. And so we're just waiting for this all to marry, come together, and be happy.
Never with the summer on it.
So if I want to keep the moisture in, yeah. It's hard to do that like when I want to show people what's, but at home, absolutely, yeah. That would be a lot easier for this process and for those mushrooms to cook. Would be to put a lid on there. Correct. All right, so we're rocking and rolling. We're gonna be eating pretty soon.
So was this in your house as a kid?
Was this in my house as a kid? It was. And so I lived in a neighborhood where there were large populations of Polish, Italian, Ukrainian. I was in Westtown as a kid, right? Chicago and Ashland in Chicago. And so I would sometimes I'd go see my Italian friends, and they exposed me to like spaghetti and meatballs, like the way it's supposed to be, right? Or sausage, right? And then I'd be like, Mom, make me spaghetti. And then she'd come up with this. And I'm like, that's not what I had. And I think, I was telling the story maybe to Jody and to the Chicago Magazine that it took a while for me to really appreciate it because I didn't know spaghetti but the Italian way,
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, yeah, Mom, that's, But this actually came to be, Puerto Ricans have been fighting in wars since World War I. And so there was a lot of traveling to Europe, in bases in Europe and Germany, and meeting of Italians, and New York and the pockets of big Italian populations there. And so this was probably kind of a corrupt interpretation of what the Italians brought. And when you think about it, and food history, which I love, pasta actually comes from Asia. Actually comes from the Chinese. And the tomato comes from where? The tomato comes from the Americas. From the Americas. And so when the tomato comes to Italy, they thought it was poisonous.
The leaves on.
And someone was having a bad day. And he didn't want to slice his wrist, it'd make a mess, so he ate a tomato. And he didn't die. He's like, this is delicious. And he's still around. And I don't know, it's documented that's kind of what happened. And so tomatoes right now, it's such a big, important part of Italian culture.
And Italians do make spicy Italian spaghetti.
Yeah.
I had some the other day.
What do you think of that? You like it?
Oh, yeah.
You guys tolerate spice? You like it?
Well, I love it, but it doesn't always love me because
Okay.
as you reach a certain age, it starts.
Yeah. Okay.
I find the older I get, the more I like spicy foods.
Yeah. All right. All right. Yeah, so I like spice a lot as well. I actually have, I do have a spice here if you guys want to try it. You only need a cap full. So that's why we have the cap. It's a slow pour. You pour that in and you can put it in your spaghettis today. Okay? So that's if you guys want to try.
Spicy is a must try.
Okay, Jody says it's a must try. Thank you, Jody. Thank you. Thank
She
you.
said you must try
This
it.
dish.
What's that?
How do you pronounce this dish?
So this one is espaguetis, right? Espaguetis. It would be the way someone from the Spanish Caribbean would say spaghettis, right?
You say
So,
pasta.
so espaguetis. Yeah.
Who doesn't like pasta?
Yeah, that's the problem.
What's the problem? Yeah, that's right. What's that?
1 pound of spaghetti?
Yes.
Got that all over the table.
Did I get it all over the table?
No, I would make that.
Oh.
Yeah, she's telling you your craft is perfect.
Okay. All right, so we're now almost there. Please don't let me forget that we also should taste our food before. Didn't I say that? So it's looking pretty good. It's looking pretty good. I did.
I didn't, oh, I didn't.
Yeah, I did.
He just kept some of the water.
Just kept some of the water.
You add salt to the water, etc.?
Yeah, and a little bit of oil.
Oh, okay, oil, all right.
A little bit of oil. What type of oil? You did ask about oil. What oil do you like?
Olive oil.
Olive oil?
Yeah, I heard now you can get canola and olive oil, which is very good.
Okay.
Certain things. Sometimes olive oil for certain things are heavy, so sunflower oil for
Yeah.
salads and stuff like that.
Okay.
But grapeseed has a higher cooking point, so you can cook it higher.
So right. So you never want to fry or really go really high with the olive oil. Peanut oil is great for that, for frying. So if you ever if you like Asian food, then they usually, the woks with the big flames, that's usually peanut oil.
It's got a real strong flavor.
That's what makes those egg rolls so good, though.
Yeah. Yeah, it has the perfect crunch,
You know,
So,
we lived in Tennessee for a while, and in our town, we had a store, an entire store that was olive oils. All infused with different flavors and stuff, an entire store. I never knew all
Yeah.
that existed. So when you're talking about coloring and stuff,
yeah,
you can buy the olive oils all
in
the
different colors. Yeah.
spices and everything. It's crazy.
That's really awesome. So one of the most fraudulent things in our pantry would be oil. Would be just read the labels. Remember I said that in the beginning. Just a lot of things are sold to us that, if you like an oil and the oil is good, but there's so many things in the stores now. And it may read olive oil, then you read it in the back and it's something else, So,
In Italy, you have to have a seal.
that's right.
Trying to tell them.
That's right. And so they don't get away with that stuff. They don't get away with that stuff. And that way they also protect their industry also. So they say that if you can get good wine from that country, then you could usually get good olive oil from that country or good oil from that country.
Sweets.
All right, there's our spaghettis, everyone. So I want to taste it before I feed you. Just want to make sure it's okay. And I didn't add any salt. Except what was in the garlic, and also there was some in the chicken. So it's pretty good. It's pretty good. It does need a little bit of salt. Is that okay? That okay?
We trust you.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. And then close it over your shoulder. You gotta throw it over your shoulder.
Ah, you know why? Do you know why the chefs go up high? Why?
They like to sprinkle.
Yeah, because then things spread out evenly. So if you're down here, then it'll mount. But if you come up here, then it spreads out. Very, you know? Very chefy. You seen that? All right. So I would probably put some cilantro in there to finish it off, but we have some folks that don't like cilantro.
I mean, I don't dislike it.
Just to kind of give it some color and some. So for me,
I don't, we can.
so for me also.
I just don't like it.
For me also, so the dry ingredients are in the beginning of the process. Did you notice that? And then the fresh ingredients will be towards the end, because then you get those aromatics.
Would you consider your cilantro and your culantro soft herbs?
The cilantro, yes. The culantro, not so much.
Okay.
Yeah, I know you guys didn't think it was too pungent.
No, I thought it was a piece.
So if you don't have cilantro, what can you use?
There's not a lot of substitutes, but you know, cilantro's fine.
What about arugula?
Arugula. What about oregano? How about oregano? A fresh oregano.
Okay, yeah.
Fresh oregano I like. Thyme. What do you guys think? Parsley. I like the flat leaf. Yeah, the Italian parsley. Chives, yes, yes, and yes. All right, this smells like it's done. It looks like it's done. You know what? It's done. So, and it's like we're like right on time.
Sure you don't want to taste it one more time,
I trust the process. I do. You know, there's something about, and I teach my classes, my students, about trying to be mindful, the mindful cooking, where you kind of like use all your senses, right? Of course, you're using your sight, but then you're also smelling and you're listening. And that's why it's hard to cook when you have a full house and so much going on and chaos. If you could do that, that's great. But, you know, if this is kind of like your therapy, cooking is your therapy, then mindful cooking is something that maybe you can kind of think about. I already know when I could just smell, I could just feel when my rice is done, because it's just something that I just kind of know already. It's a feel. It may sound weird, but
No, it's the same thing when I have something baking in the oven. I really
yes, you kind of know when you've done something so many times. You kind of know. So, Jody, how would you like to do this as far as like?
How about everybody line up, grab a dish, and then you can serve right where you're at?
Okay, grab a dish there, and then I could serve. Okay.
To make it a little easier.
Okay. So the dishes are here, and then let me get some tongs for the.
Sir, do you have any wine?
That would be perfect. That would be perfect. So did you guys feel like you learned something today? Okay, that's beautiful. I love that. I love that. And also I love to hear your stories because this is a journey for me. As a teacher, I'm always a student. And so if you have something you want to share, and don't forget also for those our whether they may be our parents, our grandparents, you know, tap into that knowledge because they hold a lot of knowledge. And, you know, because after a while they're gone. And then a lot of the cultural things are gone. And so we need to tap into that. Forks are there. We're just doing some disposable plates.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Enjoy. I hope you enjoy it. Did you get your fork? Okay. Enjoy, enjoy. And if you like the spice, remember you could use this if you like spice.